Welcome back to Death Before Booze. I'm Sam.
I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Sam.
And I don't think we have any housekeeping. Happy day after Easter, 2 days after Easter, whatever it is.
Happy Passover, happy WrestleMania weekend, happy everything.
Happy all the things.
Everything. Everything.
Yup. Everything good in your world?
Yeah, we're all good. You know, surviving, thriving.
Surviving and thriving. Those are like, sure, interchangeable, definitely.
It's fine.
We're doing great. This week's topic is what, Miss Jen?
It is evil stepmothers.
Evil stepmothers. Okay. So I go second, so you can tell me a story.
Yes.
Go.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to tell you from the top. Again, it has to do with kids, and it's not as bad as like a PDF file type of thing, but it's not great.
Awesome.
So I'm just letting people know it has to do with this, so we're prepared. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about Chase and Natalie DeBlase or DeBlase. I don't know how to say the last name.
Que passe?
DeBlase. So we're going to talk about their dad first. So John DeBlase grew up in a normal home in Mobile, Alabama. So we're in Alabama today.
Ooh.
He went to public schools before he completed high school, and he graduated in 2003. He worked several jobs, and he later married Corinne Heathcock. They had 2 kids. Natalie Alexis, who was born in 2005, and Jonathan Chase, who they called Chase, who was born in 2006. So pretty back-to-back, cute kids. There's pictures of them on the blog. I tried really hard to like flood pictures of them because they were so adorable.
Oh,
so
I love that.
So the marriage had a little bit of problems. So there was a lot of conflict, and eventually the couple decided we got a divorce. And John gained custody of the kids in 2009. And the reason why, according to Corinne, is that she wasn't really stable. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a home at the time. So she was like, the best thing I could do for my kids is to provide them with a good, safe facility, which is with their dad. And he is a great father. So perfect.
It's
wonderful.
Best you can do. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, like, at that point, yeah, they're divorced. And if she's leaving and doesn't have anywhere to really go, like, where do you, you can't really fault her for that. After the divorce, I'm not entirely sure how after, because it didn't really, I'm assuming like within a year or 2 after, John began a relationship with Heather Levian Keaton, who was visually impaired. She's a scholarship holder, an undergraduate student at Spring Hill College. Mm-hmm. The 2 entered a common law marriage and began to live together with his kids. So she moved in. Heather is now stepmom, not on paper, but common law.
Okay.
So, according to the neighbors, however, Heather didn't seem to like children in general, and specifically didn't seem to appreciate John's kids.
All great qualities of a stepmother.
Especially if you're going to bring someone into your home, like your kids should come first.
Yes.
Which, again, all parents know this, but, sometimes it gets a little, I don't know. So, it seemed some neighbors recalled that she seemed to just scream at the kids, like, all the time, like, for no reason whatsoever. One friend recalled during a cookout, Heather was screaming and cursing at them, and she grabbed Natalie by her arm really harshly. So the friend got in the middle of it and said, listen, if you're going to continue this, I'm going to call the police because this is ridiculous.
Like, that human.
Because at this point, the kids aren't that old. If this is like 2009, she was born in 2005. So even if it's not like they're old.
Little.
They're little. So of course kids are going to get crazy. And once they're toddlers, apparently, I don't know, they get nuts. They turn into velociraptors. So yeah. That's the velociraptor stage. That's just what you get. But Heather didn't have kids. didn't seem like she even wanted kids, but like got into this relationship with John knowing he had 2 young kids. So
was John rich?
Once again, no. Like it's that's a thing. It's not even like she was going to like reap the benefits from that. It's just so strange that she loved everything about him except his kids, which they're small. It's not like they're teenagers that you're like, okay, they're never going to accept me as their mom, whatever. Okay. So it was also observed that one time they were at a birthday party, and Chase, who a year younger than Natalie, seemed to be extremely hungry as if he hadn't been fed.
Oh, no. I don't like
Later,
it.
he had terrible diarrhea, and then he went to the hospital that day. So where is Dad is my question. Because these are your kids. Like, she's not mom. Like, as much as, like, you know, stepmoms become moms, and sometimes they are more we see these stories all the time. Stepmoms, stepdads, they take the approach of like, these are my kids. Like,
yeah,
they're not. She's technically not mom, so she's not feeding your kids. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, that just pissed me the fuck off.
I'm pissed.
I'm
fucking pissed. I am rip shit right now.
Unfortunately, we're gonna get kind of fast and loose into this because I didn't really find a lot of articles that kind of like helped you, I don't know, ease in and kind of give you like this day in particular. So here we go. So March 4th, 2010. I don't know what had happened. It wasn't really stated, but John allowed Heather to restrain 4-year-old Natalie using tape, allowed her to gag her with a sock, which was covered then in duct tape, and lock her in a suitcase in a closet for an extended period of time. Dad allowed this. I don't know what the kid did, but it doesn't even matter. It does not even matter.
The firing squad is a new form of execution.
I agree.
Correct? We brought that back. We could do that again.
You know, I think some places did bring it back.
Okay,
and
good.
You know what?
I mean, I am not always for the death penalty, but you fuck with kids. I feel it's appropriate.
Now, they left Natalie in this suitcase for 14 hours.
How did the kids survive? I hate that.
Well, Heather also gave her antifreeze, so she didn't survive. So unfortunately, yeah, right? Like fucking...
Jen, we're 8 minutes in.
I understand that. And I said there wasn't really a lot of lead up because I don't know what happened where John was like, oh yeah, you can mistreat my kids. You can feed them antifreeze. You can poison them. You want to lock them in the closet? Go for it. Make sure you put the tape over their mouth. I don't know what, if she was like a freaking beast in bed, if she got like had some money on the side. I don't know. What is the reason why all of a sudden he was like, I don't know how to father? To a 4-year-old. Okay.
So mad.
So unfortunately, now nobody really knew about this because, and that's the other thing too. A lot of the articles that I looked up, and even like Wikipedia, where I start all of my research, was very low on this. There wasn't a lot of details. So I do know that it was on let me see. Nova's just like kind of preventing me from doing things right now. I think there's actually there's got to be like an ID special on like evil stepmothers, and she's got to be right fucking up there. Because when I looked up stepmothers who were evil and actually did bad things to their kids, this woman was like top 5. So, which I don't blame them. So unfortunately at this point, Natalie is gone. Again, they poisoned the poor girl, locked her in the closet in the suitcase. Fucking despicable. Nobody knows about this. Biological mom doesn't know about this because she doesn't live with them. So she has no idea.
So what's the story?
she just assumes dad's taking care of them.
She doesn't like call and talk to them a couple times a week at least.
I agree with you. The fact that she wasn't like at least like, hey, can I talk to my daughter who's, she's 4, but she can talk, she can speak.
Like, people didn't notice that the 4-year-old wasn't running around the house anymore. 4-year-olds are not quiet. Neighbors know them.
No. Exactly. And the fact that neighbors knew that Heather didn't particularly enjoy his kids, all of a sudden now she's not there one day.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. It's a little odd. Like, I don't see how nobody noticed, and this kind of went unnoticed. But it did go unnoticed until about June, because June 20th, Heather got upset with Chase. Now, Chase is 3. Okay, so same type of deal. She tied him up and taped his hands and feet together, and then she strapped a broom handle to his back, like to kind of just and then she gagged him the same way she had done with
what did they do with Natalie's body?
That we'll get to.
There's been a lot of Gen size. I've heard like 3 of them already.
Yeah. Well, it's never good when it comes to, I'm sorry, but like when these type of cases come up, you're like, it just doesn't, I don't know. It just makes me very upset. And like, but later on, because they're not even, they disposed of her body. I'll let you know how. But these people are pieces of shit. So we're just.
I have to disassociate now. Continue speaking.
Yeah.
I hate it.
So
already.
Chase was also, throughout the course of a couple of days, poisoned with antifreeze as well. So he was also, not only was he bound, gagged, and the whole bit, he was also he was forced to stand in a corner overnight while both John and her slept. So John's aware of this behavior. He's just letting her do it, which now eventually, because of not only the poisoning but of course the bound and gagging and all that, Chase also passed away. And now they got rid of both of the bodies, they disposed of them, and then they moved to Kentucky from Alabama, just like maybe thinking, oh, the neighbors are going to kind of notice that the kids are missing.
This is in the 2000s, right? You said?
Yeah. No, this is 2010.
Someone's going to notice.
So it's... But I also am a little bit... I understand. I don't know the background with biological mom. But how on earth she could have let this kind of be like, okay, where are my kids? And they're not answering. And it gets to a point which... we'll get to everyone's favorite person, Casey Anthony, because this is kind of a similar type of thing where it's like, where's the kid? I don't know. Where's the kid? Oh, well, that person has him. Oh, I don't know what happened. You're like, what? It wasn't until November 2010, John actually was arrested for traffic violations, where he went to jail overnight and his van was impounded.
Okay.
Now, once he was released, Heather and John got into a very loud argument. So loud, in fact, that Heather's mother, who happened to either be staying with them or she was visiting, overheard the 2 of them. And she started to piece things together.
Wait. Heather's mom is with them and she wasn't like, where are these fucking children that live with you that you have custody of?
Even if you're just visiting, like, wouldn't you think?
Where are the kids?
Well, he could easily explain it as, well, they're with mom this weekend when you're here. Because mom wasn't living with them, but she was in there. But even so, you're right. Wouldn't you be like, where's the kids? Oh, they're with mom. Okay. And I mean, it's a divorced family, so like, okay.
Okay. I don't like it,
but
okay.
But knowing the background that Corinne doesn't have a stable environment either, like, where are they staying? Because it doesn't seem like Corinne had family either to help support her. So it's not like they can go to grandma's and, Well, anyway, Heather's mom happened to listen to them arguing very loudly and happened to hear something that mentioned something bad had happened to both Chase and Natalie. So Mom told her fiance, and they went to their friend who was a police officer for advice.
Excellent. Excellent.
And the police officer said, oh, you should call the cops, which
good.
They did. Heather was brought in for questioning first, or well, both of them were, but Heather says John was the one who abused the kids and that she found Natalie unresponsive March and she found Chase unresponsive in June. Oh. They removed the bodies together from the home, and the kids were reported missing because they can't find them, but they knew, like, okay, even if Dad was abusing them, she's involved somehow. Absolutely. So the police were like, yeah. So now the kids are finally reported missing. Again, I don't know how much to kind of weigh here. And, like, for you guys, like, if you want to comment, because I know a lot of moms listen to our show, like, I'm struggling because I'm like, I don't want to say it was biological's mom's responsibility to be like, to do this earlier. But at the same time, why the fuck did it take you so long to notice?
Yeah.
That your kids aren't there?
No, I mean,
you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying she played, because she obviously didn't play a physical part in this, but, you know. So they reported the kids missing. They went on a manhunt. All right, let's fucking do this because you said he abused the kids and they were unresponsive because he abused them. All right. I'm not involved, but
yeah.
So when they impounded the van, they found pictures of the kids, their stuffed animals, a duffel bag, and a container of antifreeze in the van. So they arrested them both on child abuse charges because we can't find the kids. We don't know really what happened, but something fucking happened because their shit is in the car. The kids are not. And we can't fucking find them.
Yep.
Okay. So they bring in John. John confessed the kids are already dead. And he was responsible for burying the bodies. He had nothing to do with them being dead. But he helped to bury the bodies. Father of the year.
Can we bring the Anthill children back?
That one was bad. That one was
absolutely
really bad.
Terrible, and I still have nightmares.
I am never going to live that one down.
I would
Sam's like,
rather hear that right now than this.
So Heather filed a protective order against John, saying she feared for her life because he was abusive.
Sick.
They had just had their own child together.
No.
That summer. No. So Heather didn't not want kids.
She just didn't want kids that weren't
hers. But
hers.
she just didn't want those kids. So her saying, "Oh my God, he's abusive. I just had a baby in the summer. I'm scared. I have to file protective order. He abused the kids. I had nothing to do with it." Okay. She was afraid if she didn't file the protective order that he's going to do something to the kids, her kid, like he did his own kids. Meanwhile, the police were searching. Unfortunately, December 11th, 2010, so the same year, Natalie's remains were found near a forest in Alabama. 2 days later, Chase's body was found in a wooded area near Mississippi. So they kind of went like opposite directions with trying to get rid of. An autopsy was conducted, but the cause of death could not be identified.
So then,
because
how'd they figure it out?
Well, the pathologist confirmed the deaths were likely to be a homicide because you don't just have a 4 and a 3-year-old
die
in the middle of the woods and they just fall over and there they are. So they can't tell if it was poisoning. They can't really tell if it was blunt force trauma, but if it was a mix. But the pathologist said, yeah, no, this was definitely a murder, but we can't determine cause of death. So John was charged with abuse of a corpse and aggravated assault once the bodies were found.
Okay.
He was charged with 2 counts of felony murder.
Excellent.
So, and 2 counts of corpse abuse, because again, moving a corpse after it's already dead, like a body, I guess that's another. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's a very, like, a lot of like cases have like like moving a corpse or whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, he pled not guilty on grounds of diminished responsibility.
Explain yourself, sir.
Well, his defense argued that although, yes, he broke the law, they could not be held fully criminally liable as their mental health functions were impaired.
How? Explain yourself, sir.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Heather was originally charged with just aggravated child abuse and abuse of a corpse, but in January, they upped it to capital murder.
Yay!
Which, of course, she pled not guilty to because, like, let's just par for the course.
Yeah, of course.
So now we get to their trials.
All right.
Hold on. Did I miss? No. I was trying to figure out, like, I'm like moving my notes around, and I'm like, did I?
I do that all the time.
Like,
totally get it. So, like,
I'm like, I don't number them.
So how do we know that she, like, if they can't tell you what happened? I guess it comes out at trial that they, like, kept the one in the closet.
It comes out at trial.
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
And it comes out at trial, and it kind of comes out as, like, especially because, I mean, all you have to really look at, too, are the neighbors who were like, yeah, she was a fucking crazy ass. But he's no better for allowing it to happen to his own children.
Yup.
So John's trial was up first. The prosecution cited confession letters written by John where he admitted to killing them to put them out of their misery. These were given by a jailhouse informant. So, of course, the defense said, well, he was forced into writing them.
Or what is that jailhouse human getting?
And what does he get?
Because
exactly.
What if they just wrote them?
Exactly. What if he just, and again, like, there are a lot of times when jailhouse informants are like, can I get some time off my sentence? Mm-hmm. Can I get this if I tell you this? Well, this jailhouse informant said, here's a letter where he actually confessed about it. And that's where the defense kind of jumped on and said, well, how do we know it's true?
Yep.
John claimed in his letters and in general that Heather had subjected both kids to torture and abuse. He knew it was wrong, but he feared if he didn't kill them, Heather would continue to abuse the kids.
I don't like it.
I don't understand your logic, sir.
There's this cool thing called divorce. Or you're not even, okay.
They're not even legally married. It's a common law.
Kick the bitch out. Get the fuck out of here. 911.
Agree.
Come get this corpse because she touched my children wrong. That's exactly what happened.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
It's fair.
Okay, I have to add a new way. I have to add a new way that I'm going to die. It's either going to be petting something I shouldn't, clotheslining myself, running to get cookies like the little girl at the Whaley house, or someone's going to touch my kid the wrong way, and I'm going to pop off.
Fuck around and find out is what's going to happen. And you know what? Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yep.
Because, the mama bear comes out. I get it.
Yeah.
His ex-wife, Corinne, also testified, and she basically kind of was just there as, like, a character type of witness to be like, I left my kids with him, and he was supposed to protect them, and I did the wrong fucking thing. And I hate myself for it, and I blame myself for it, which, again, there's a lot going on.
God, these kids are so cute.
Aren't they cute? I was like, let me flood it with pictures of them because I don't want to see that ugly bitch.
Yeah.
She's a piece of shit.
Hate her.
She doesn't deserve shit.
No, we hate her.
Well, November 5th, 2014, John was found guilty on 3 counts of capital murder.
Excellent.
On the same day sentencing would be determined as well.
Yay!
The prosecution argued the murders were, quote, heinous, atrocious, and cruel.
Yes.
And that his defense was just pinning the blame on Heather. Was just like, I understand it was wrong, but she did it. I didn't really, I did. The defense argued he loved his children and Heather's conduct was the main reason that caused him to make the decision. The death penalty was given on a majority vote of 10-2.
Yay.
So 2 people were like, yeah, maybe not. So we got another one. The death row.
I'm not a big fan of death row, but again, in this case, I'm not upset.
So Heather's trial went next. Mm-hmm. And her trial began May 8th, 2015 in Mobile, Alabama. She attempted to get the trial to be moved, but it was unsuccessful.
No.
One of John's former friends testified for the prosecution about how Heather screamed at the kids during a party and called them devil spawned from hell.
I mean,
you have enough witnesses to prove that you're a piece of shit. So, like, it's fine.
I don't think it can be considered a term of endearment now that you've killed them.
No, and not for anything. Yeah, some people are like, yeah, my kids are the devil spawn. But, like...
It's different.
I'm not going to kill them.
No.
Like, it's not... Like, they're just acting like dinosaurs. And, like...
Feral gremlins.
Exactly. And that's, like... 3 and 4, I feel like that's the typical age where they are like gremlins. Like that's
it's like the beginning of
but
it,
like,
I feel like.
Yes. And honestly, when you look at the kids' faces, I'm like, how bad could they really have been? Like, they're small. You can't be like, hey, stop touching that. Hey. Yeah, stop, don't
go
do
to your
things.
room.
And not
here's an ice pop. Stop talking.
Like,
stop. Believe me, I get it. I've worked with kids. I know they can definitely be overwhelming in a handful, and you just get burnt out. I get it. She just didn't want these kids. That's the problem.
No, the bottom line was, and that's why a lot of when I started first reading it, I was like, did she just not want kids in general? No, they had a kid together. She just didn't want his kids from the other marriage, which... Stop being a little fucking bitch and deal with it and be a grown-up lady.
If you didn't want him,
don't
be with him.
Like it's very fair. It's like one of the first things that like a lot of people are like, well, when you go on a date with somebody new and you're like, dating somebody for a while, you probably bring up the fact, do you want kids? Do you not want kids? I have kids. Like,
yep.
And if you're not on board, then you don't continue to date that person.
Or or it's very, very casual and you never move on to a different level.
Exactly. And you know what? That's fair. That's fine.
Infuriated right now.
Well, you won't be for long because May 27th, so a couple weeks after, the jury found her guilty of capital murder for Chase, but reckless manslaughter for Natalie. Which seemed inconsistent and bizarre, said the prosecutor.
I would concur.
And the jury explained she intentionally meant to kill Chase, but the death of Natalie was not intentional due to her actions.
She gave her what's that shit?
The antifreeze. And I guess shoving her in a suitcase for 14 hours isn't intentional. It's not like she wanted her to die. She just wanted her to go away in the closet for a while.
I don't like any of it. I hate it all.
Now, the defense started to bring up the psychiatric reports because we know this is where it's going to go, saying she suffered from depression, abuse, borderline personality disorder, PTSD from abuse. However, a majority of them voted 11-1 recommending the death penalty.
Good. Thank you. Good.
And according to another jailhouse informant, Heather didn't seem to have any remorse. She kind of just was, meh.
I don't like her.
You're also a mother at this point. Like, she's also a mom at this point. And she's like, whatever.
I really don't like her. Like, I really don't like her.
August 20th.
I'm really upset.
What's it called? Hold on. they sentenced her to death by lethal injection for the murder of Chase and 20 years for the manslaughter of Natalie. So she's in there. She's on death row, and 20 additional years for Natalie. So even though it's not a double capital murder here, it's still, Heather was and is, because she's still alive, the first woman to be given the death penalty in Mobile County, Alabama.
I mean, that's not the worst thing.
Fun fact.
If that's the fame you get.
Right. Now, of course, everybody makes appeals because that's what you do. John made 2 appeals in 2018 and 19. They were both dismissed.
Okay.
Heather's appeal allowed for her to overturn the death penalty and ordered a resentencing trial.
No. I said no.
So in 2020, they upheld the death penalty.
Thank
They're like,
God.
no. Sam's right.
I'm right. I'm always right. I'm not always right.
And her appeal, after that, she appealed to the Supreme Court in 2023. They also dismissed it. They're like,
get the fuck out.
Just sit there and rot. Sit there and rot.
No.
Both are currently incarcerated on death row, and Heather is one of 5 to be held on Alabama's death row.
Good. Stay
So,
there,
you know what?
Dumb bitch.
This was a really bad evil stepmother.
Yeah.
Again, if you literally Google evil stepmothers who did bad things to their stepchildren, she's top 5. Like it's bad. I'm assuming there's an ID special on her as well.
She is a
But you know what?
I
don't know anything about her child and what's going on with that. I'm assuming her parents, but like because they actually pulled the trigger on them. They actually were both like, we need to fucking do something because she just said that she harmed children. So I'm assuming they're in better. He's in her child. I don't know, boy or girl is in better hands than
hers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. There were a lot of sighs. I did notice that.
I counted at least 7. At least 7. I was counting.
It's something I don't normally keep track of, and then when you're like 7, 5, you're like second one.
Yeah. Baby wanted 12. Baby wanted 12 lemons. Like, oh. Okay.
I am sorry.
All right. So I misunderstood the assignment on purpose.
Okay. I like when you do this.
Okay.
This is my favorite part.
It's a little hard to do an evil stepmother for a haunting, I learned. And I learned it a little late because, life be lifing. So I've already covered Lizzie Borden, whose stepmother wasn't exactly evil, but, she really didn't like her. And I've already done that. And then I really couldn't think of any other ones off the top of my head. And Googling evil stepmother haunting really only brings you to Grimm's fairy tales. And I wasn't going the lit route this time.
Fair.
I've done it before. So we compromised. And we're covering an evil clown motel instead. Because if you're going to be an evil stepmother, I find you to be a clown. So, evil clown motel.
I mean,
it works.
It works.
It works for me.
I see the connection.
Thank you. Transitive property, you're an evil clown. So,
it might have taken a second to get to the connection, but you know what?
I explained it very well.
It's there.
We're bullshitting today. Well, not the story, but that part done. Okay. So, we're going to get in our way back machine. And we're going back to 1900, Tonopah, Nevada. So there's this dude named Jim Butler who accidentally on purpose stumbled upon silver-rich ore. Okay? And this guy's a dick. And let me tell you why. Because he had this donkey. It's like a legit donkey.
Aww.
But it escaped. No. It's not. The donkey survives. It's fine. But he's still an asshole. This guy's an asshole. So the donkey survives. But the donkey got out, right? And he's running around the desert or the pasture. I don't fucking know. But he's running around somewhere. And Butler's trying to get him. And Butler gets pissed. So he picks up this rock and throws it at the donkey. And then he's like, wait a minute. That rock was heavy. So he goes and finds it. And that's how they find this really crazy silver vein. And Tonopah turns into a mining town.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I've heard that he really was an asshole to animals and that he just stumbled upon silver is kind of bullshit because he was married to an indigenous woman and her family knew all about the topography and the elements and the metals in the area, and he just had to come up with a story like, oops, I found this, and now I'm going to rape the land and mine everything out and be a really fucked up human, even though fuck it. Anyway, Butler leases out the claims and collects royalties. Multiple mining companies are set up, including the Belmont Mining Company, and that one's important. And Tonopah grew into this thriving mining community. The Tonopah Cemetery was founded in 1901. It closed 10 years later and has over 300 people from the town buried there. Hold on to that thought.
Okay.
In 1905, there was some really weird, crazy plague that went through Tonopah, and it started with people getting chest pains, and then they died within, like, hours.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. And then when they did, like, autopsies on the bodies, they found that the livers of these humans were completely black and hard like stones. Doctors, anybody out there who knows what this could be, can you let me know? Because they kind of wrote it off as pneumonia caused by poor sanitation. And I'm very sorry, I've never heard of pneumonia causing your liver to turn black and hard. And I'm not a medical professional, though. I just play one on a podcast.
Ew.
Yeah, cocky. I don't like that. Ugh. Now, this is the big one.
It's not even in your lungs. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
I know. To me. I don't get it. I don't understand. Homie, I don't get it. Okay. So, here's a Sam sigh. 1. In the early hours of February 23rd, 1911, a fire started deep in the Belmont mine. And newspapers of the day reported that the fire started at the 1,166-foot level. So, like, way down there. And the way this mine was constructed, it had 2 shafts. One upcast, one downcast. Okay? So, again, about 10 to 6 in the morning, they realize there's a fire, and they take about an hour searching for it. And they find there's timber burning at the bottom of the shaft, of one of the shafts. And they figured it started by a candle, but the superintendent's like, nah, no big deal. Go to work. And everybody's like, no, bro, I don't want to be in a mine where there's fucking fire. And he's like, well, if you don't go to work, you don't get paid and don't come back. So everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to go to work now.
I hate that.
A few hours later, the superintendent noticed that the flames were spreading quickly. No shit, Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately orders anybody who's not actively fighting the fire to evacuate the mine. And unfortunately, these guys, they're not trained. They don't know the proper exiting procedure. And chaos ensues, causing many of them to get trapped in the mine. And again, due to the mine setup with that upward and downward, a lot of the currents cause the blaze to just go faster, meaning more and more miners escaped the higher it came up the mine.
Right.
Whatever that thing is. Okay. So here's a fun little side story. There's this dude called William Murphy, nicknamed Big Bill. But he volunteered. He was topside and volunteered to go down like the shaft and get more people on the little elevator thing. So down he goes. He resurfaces with a cage of men. He goes down a second time. And now the pit's full of smoke because remember, this fire's moving quick. So he goes down. He comes up and then he's like, I can go down a third time. So he goes down a third time and he's like, it's not good. So it took it longer for the cage to resurface, and when it emerged, it was full of men, but no Bill. And one of the semi-conscious men said someone had fallen out of the cage on its way up, and everybody realized that it was Bill. And somebody said Bill's last words before he went down were, well, boys, I've made 2 trips, and I'm nearly all in, but I'll try again.
Oh.
Yeah, so in total, 17 men lost their lives that day, including 28-year-old Bill. His grave is in the Tonopah Cemetery, and it reads, died while saving others. There's a monument to Bill that stands outside the Tonopah post office. I think I've said Tonopah like different every single time I've said it, but that's okay. And 14 of the 17 who died are now buried in the cemetery. There were tons of other fires that happened in those mines, but one other fire that we're going to talk about was in the Belmont mine from 1942, and this caused the death of Clarence David. Now, Clarence David, we're going to jump 43 years ahead. He had 2 kids, Leroy and Leona. Leona. Why can't I read today?
Listen,
I'm like on the struggle bus
all the time.
So, in 1985, Leroy and Leona Lewis, Bleeding Love. Okay. 1985, Leroy and Leona, what the fuck, opened the Clown Motel. This motel is located at 521 North Main Street, Tonopah, Nevada. It is midway between Vegas and Reno, so about 4 hours from Vegas, 4 or 5 hours. And it's known as the most haunted motel in America. They opened it in honor of their late father, Clarence David, who was very into clowns. He collected everything clowns. Anytime he saw a clown, he collected it. So when they opened the motel, they brought his collection there, and it started with over 150 clown statues to decorate the entire property. Now there are over 6,000 pieces of clown memorabilia, plus
crap.
Paintings all over the building, like wall-size paintings, murals. There are paintings on the doors, paintings on the windows. Clown. Everything is clowns. You take a shit, it probably comes out in the shape of a clown at this point. It's that serious. And now, anybody want to take a stab at where this beautiful Clown Motel is located and adjacent to the cemetery?
It's going to be right next. Oh, no, it's right across the street.
Right across the street.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Perfect placement.
Now, is their father buried in this cemetery? Is that why they were like, Dad can see it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really sweet, but at the same time,
absolutely the fuck not. No.
I can't.
No. I hate it. Okay.
Oh my God.
So they run the motel for, 10 years. And then they sell it to Bob Perchetti. And he operated it for 22 years until 2017 when he put the property up to the tune of $900,000 in 2017.
Ooh.
Once that happened, the property was purchased by Vijay Mihar, who appointed his former art director and family friend, Haim Anand, as CEO. Anand gave the motel a complete facelift, created a new identity, branded it the world-famous Clown Motel, and this is where we increased from our collection of 600 clown statues to the 6,000 pieces of clown memorabilia that are there now. 3 people have lived in this motel. One person who lived there was super sick and literally moved in so they could pass away.
So they could just go next door.
Mm-hmm. And they started to report to the front desk, like, there's this huge shadow figure that's, like, watching me at night. And the front desk is like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, dude, I think the Grim Reaper is coming to me in the shape of a clown. Like, can you do something about this? And they're like, what do you want me to do, bro? And he's like, cool. So then he started praying to the spirits on the property to just take him because this huge thing was freaking him out. And finally, when it didn't happen fast enough, he completed suicide by shooting himself in the head.
A Grim Reaper shaped, or like in the shape of a clown, is actually
worse.
Intriguing.
No, I find it to be worse. Thank you.
I mean, I really don't like any of this. I don't like clowns.
They're not my favorite. I don't hate them.
No, and like,
but I don't love them.
No, it's not one of those, like, some people are terrified of clowns. I just don't like them. I just don't. So I wouldn't stay where there's 6,000 1,000 clowns looking at me. So.
You know what makes them even more irksome to me? And this is going to be so stupid. You know the show Modern Family?
Yeah.
You know how Cameron is a clown? Or he, like, was a clown or is a clown? He was Fizbo the clown.
I think so.
How he acts because he went to clown school and, like, was a clown. He, like, has to, like, force this agenda and this narrative makes me hate it even more. Like, I'm just like, fucking clowns. It's worse than Disney adults. Like, get out of here with that. I can't.
It's worse than Disney adults.
Yeah. There are 2 other reported deaths on the property as well, and that's just basically people who just died. Actually, I heard on TikTok today there was the current manager who lives there. It's the Hame Anand. He lives there on the property, and he chose his room because he got there and something called him there, and it's the room that the guy who killed himself was in. And he's like,
I mean, that's great.
I don't really believe in ghosts. I think I have this later on, so I'm probably fucking all this up. But yeah, here we go. The current manager, Hame Anand, didn't believe in ghosts until he had worked at the Clown Motel for about 6 months. It was during the December off-season when he heard heavy footsteps above him, the sound of miners' work boots pounding across the floor. The motel was nearly empty, and he knew this wasn't a guest. He also says the room in which he lives at the motel is, quote, very haunted and will make a great attraction for paranormal enthusiasts whenever he decides to move out of it. It's why he chose this specific room, and he felt a calling from the 3 people who died there before.
I mean, why? Those are the rooms you don't want to stay in. Like,
he did.
You know what? Good for him.
So anyway, this motel is very fucking haunted, and it's pretty much the usual stuff. Temperature swings, thumps and bumps in the night, disembodied footsteps, disembodied voices, electricity surge, batteries draining, items disappearing and reappearing, items moving around, orbs of light on night vision cameras, weird EMF readings, and shadow figures. Legend states that the clown statues, all 6,000 of them, act as vessels of the miner's ghost, so they possess the dolls and make the dolls come to life.
This is a nightmare.
Apparitions have been seen walking to and from the graveyard, and disembodied voices have been heard saying, "We mined and we died that day."
Oh,
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good.
There is the apparition of a man that has been reported leaving the cemetery, walking around the property at all hours of the day and night.
Oh.
And when previous owners have attempted to make contact with this spirit, the spirit froze and then promptly vanished.
He's like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
This is the worst part. In my opinion, this is the worst part. Clowns themselves have been seen leaving the cemetery, balloons and all.
No.
There's one clown that the staff says is known to move at night. So they'll like have it in one position when they leave or like shut the door for the night, you know? And then in the morning it's in a new position or a new spot in like the lobby. So the lobby's like a museum of all these like clowns. And there's just shelves upon shelves of figurines and dolls and posters and pictures and bags and books and all this shit. And you walk into the museum and you can do that. And some of them move around.
Yeah. I don't want to. No. Now, are these like. These are ghosts of clowns that they see moving in and out of the cemetery? Or just people who are dressed up as clowns and wandering around? Because both are terrifying.
I think it's the former.
Both are terrifying to me.
Yeah. I don't really love it.
No.
Okay, so there's one spirit that is said to haunt the property, and the spirit became fond of a gentleman who stayed at the motel. And then when this human left, the spirit got really sad, and you could feel like it was like sad and depressed and whatever. And then that gentleman never came back. So now the ghost is just pissed and is an asshole to people.
Bro, do you not know how a hotel works? Like, people don't always stay there.
Well, he didn't get that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Room 108 is considered to be the most active spot in the motel, with visitors reporting disembodied voices, moving objects, and things going missing, all thanks to a spirit called the Trickster. And this spirit has been seen coming from the cemetery, taking the form of a clown and messing with visitors at the motel. And then he'll go into room 108 and, like, disappear. So I guess it's a ghost dressed like a clown and coming over.
Jesus. Why?
Why not?
Oh.
No, it's terrible. In room 214, there's a spirit that hides your stuff and turns the lights on and off all night long. And then this one. Other guests have reported seeing a nearly 7-foot tall clown. It's either a prankster or just a straight up poltergeist standing at the foot of their bed. They wake up in a cold sweat. And some visitors report that they left in the middle of the night because of it and never came back. And I saw one girl on TikTok. She specifically saw this. She's like, I had sleep paralysis and there was this 7-foot clown at the edge of my bed. And when I could finally move, I packed up my shit and I went to the Burger King parking lot and slept in the parking lot in my car by myself. I'd rather get jumped in the car than get jumped by that thing.
No.
And then there are people who like report nothing. They're like, yeah, it was the best sleep of my life. Yeah, there was some guy who had like all these horrible like pains and aches and what is that, arthritis all in his back and shit. And he like stayed here one night, like he was going from Vegas to Reno and he stayed there one night and like all of his ailments were gone. So he just lived at the motel till he died. That was one of the people who died there. He's like, the spirits cured me. I can never leave.
I don't think it was this.
I'd be like, dude, can I just buy this bed off you and you buy another mattress? Like, that'd be me.
Maybe it's the bed.
Yeah,
like, maybe
can I just have the mattress?
Like, I don't think the spirits. That's terrifying. I don't. A 7-foot tall, like dark figure is already terrifying enough. A clown that is 7 foot tall, like that's.
Okay.
Nope.
So then,
I'm not going there.
In 2015.
Oh.
Our best friends go there.
Oh, I love it.
And we all know, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but I know that Zach is absolutely terrified of ghosts. I'm sorry, clowns. Terrified of ghosts, I'm sure. But he's terrified of clowns and heights. But clowns are like a big deal for him. So I think this was his favorite investigation yet. Yeah, he had like a really hard time. It was actually kind of fun to watch. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, if you are like that terrified, like I understand you want to do it for like the views and everything, but Jesus.
He's one of those people who like wants to do it to like kind of face his fear.
I can understand.
Because like even in his museum, he's like a little circus part. He used to have like a full clown setup, but like now it's just a little circus sideshow thing. But he's kind of one of those, like, if I force myself to do it, maybe I won't be scared anymore.
But won't be afraid. I can get that. It's like a flooding technique that you're like, okay, let's just go into 6,000 clowns.
I hate
maybe
it.
I won't be afraid.
When he went, it was only like 2,000, but now we're at 6,000. But yeah. So 2015, they go, they show up. He's terrified of clowns. Fun things they caught. They caught Hello. And It Turned On. Those came from the spirit box. Zach says he saw the dark silhouette of a figure. And they also hear the door of the lobby moving, like open and closed. And they see that it's open after they closed it. And this is the biggest piece of evidence that they caught. And the reason why. I know this happened because I watched the episode a few times. But this is not my favorite episode. It actually really freaks me out. So in the lobby, there's this life-size doll. It's a clown. And they named him Charlie. And it sits in like a rocking chair in the corner. At least in this episode, it was in a rocking chair in the corner. There's a picture of him on the blog. But, so Zach's in the lobby by himself with all these clowns because, you know, he's Zach Bagans. And he's asking questions. And you see in both the X camera and his camera. So you have like a far away and a close up. And it's on the clown, this clown Charlie. And he's asking questions. And all of a sudden the hand of this doll that is, and it's like a life-size doll. Like it's a life-size fucking doll. The hand is on the doll's leg. And then it's not anymore. It like moves and like falls off of the leg. But it is so in the center of this, like there is no way. The rocking chair doesn't move. There's no wind. Nobody touches it. It's not like when you look at it, it's not like somebody had a string tied to it and pull and you can see the pull. It just perfectly falls off. And of course, Zach goes into full on fucking panic. It sent him. He ran. He fucking ran all the way to the cemetery. He's like, fuck this. I'm out. Get out of here. But he caught it on both cameras.
Interesting. Yeah, that.
I'm not a fan of clowns. I am a fan of Zach getting scared. That's one of my favorites. But like, this is definitely an episode that I do not watch a lot, and it's because of that scene. If it comes on more often than not, I will go through it if I notice it's on. I'm like, no, it's okay. We don't have to watch this one.
Did he go back into the lobby?
I don't
after
remember.
That, or
like I said, I didn't watch it. I went on Reddit. Honestly, and I quick got like the what happened, and then this is all from my memory because it's just like burned in there.
I absolutely would not go back.
No, I'm good.
I'd be
I'm
like,
good. Thank you.
Let's wrap up here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're done.
Wrap up our investigation.
Everybody else can chill. I'm done. So as of now, you can reserve a room starting at $95 a night, depending on the room in the season. Some of the rooms are themed for different horror movies, including It, Friday the 13th, and The Exorcist. You can rent paranormal investigation equipment from the front desk, first come, first serve. And they are currently planning on building a year-round haunted house made out of shipping containers.
Oh, God, that's horrifying.
Isn't that terrible? Also, if you want to know more about the Clown Motel right now, there are 2 horror movies that are based on and filmed at the Clown Motel that you can watch. And they are called Clown Motel and Clown Motel 2. And that is the...
Oh my God. I want to watch those now.
Clown Motel in Nevada. Tonopah, Nevada.
I think that I saw the Try Guys on YouTube.
Yes. 2
of them went. And they visited, and like they're like panning around, and they're like, "This is Charlie," and I'm like, fuck that noise, I'm out."
It's really funny because there was an interview with the owner, and the owner's like, you know, not many people. It's dead center between Vegas and Reno. Who the fuck is driving out through the middle of the desert unless you're going to this specific place? Like Tonopah is not like a resort. Like, we're not gonna go hang out there at the pool and sick margaritas for hours. It's not like the resort town that we're all gonna go hang out at. Yeah, you're going there specifically for this, in a sense, or you're driving through. So
right,
the owner has said, you know, we get a handful of paranormal groups a year, but like 80%, 70 to 80% of their like people who come are YouTubers. Who are YouTubers, TikTokers, influencers in the paranormal community that go there. Otherwise, it's like, you know, just somebody driving through who's too tired. Or somebody who wants to have the experience. Like, they have a very niche. There are some people who go because of the clowns. I'm like, that would never be that person.
Yes. I've actually seen, like, he actually mentioned that. Like, I remember seeing, they interviewed the guy. And it might be the same one. And it was just, it literally, like, if you have that niche of a place... just do it up. Like, that's,
lean into it, man.
Like, lean in. Like, because how else are you going to get business?
Yeah, I have no idea.
6,000 clown statues. That's something.
I'm going to immediately tell you what I learned.
Okay.
If we get like 1,000 people to join Patreon and tell me I want you to go to that Clown Motel and investigate,
no,
I'll go.
Like,
But other than
I'm
that,
not going
I
to go
will
on
not
my
go.
own.
That is the only way I
will
will fucking
go
go to this
own.
place. I will not go on my own. Absolutely not. You couldn't pay me unless Patreon screamed, "We want the Clown Motel." I'm fucking good, bro.
If you guys all rallied together and were like, you guys need to do this, like, okay,
I can make it
we'll
happen.
take a hit for the team.
I will do it.
And we'll record, we'll take pictures with Charlie, we'll do the whole bit.
Yep.
I'm not going down there with my
No.
This is not.
No. That's what I learned.
They got horror themed rooms. That's great. I'm not. That's not going to get me in there.
Apparently, the Exorcist room is that room. What is it? 108. I said, like, the most haunted room.
Of course it is.
I'm pretty sure it's the Exorcist room.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's
I mean, it's very neat that they themed like the rooms, but I'm not staying there for that.
No, I'm good.
Jen
can have the
you
Exorcist
walk in the
room.
lobby.
I'm gonna stay in like whatever room is not the Exorcist room.
If you walk in the lobby and you see all these clowns looking at you, I'd be like, I can't do this. Like, just, I'm not terrified of clowns either. It's just I don't
like it.
I like that. Like I don't.
Okay, so that's what I learned. I also learned that I definitely have a strong feeling of. I have a very strong opinion of what should happen to people who hurt children, and it definitely came out today. I have a very strong opinion.
But you know what? I feel like that's fair, and I feel like a lot of the times when people do commit crimes against kids in prison, they get what the prisoners are like, no.
Yeah, no.
Like, I've done fucked up shit, but you did more fucked up shit. And so
I'm sorry, kids and the elderly you don't fuck with.
No.
Leave them be. They've done enough.
Yeah. Leave it alone.
Okay, well, thanks for listening. Please make sure you're following us on social media. Instagram and Facebook are the big ones. Rate, review, subscribe on all the channels. Hit the bell so you know when we put up a new YouTube video. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the guy at the corner store all about us. Make sure they're listening.
Yeah.
If you want to know what our sources are, see our pictures from this episode, go to our website, deathbeforebooze.com. You want to join our Patreon because you're all caught up, or you want to start lobbying for us to go to this horrible hellhole. That's Patreon on our website, deathbeforebooze.com. Click on Patreon, join. It's $5 subscription, but we totally understand times are tough. So just keep sharing our stuff and telling your friends. That's amazing support, and we love you for it. You want to buy some of our merch, same place, deathbeforebooze.com. Click on merch, and come back next week for another fun-filled episode of crazy shit that we talk about.
Yeah. Stay spooky. Love you guys. Bye.